So this is my interpretation of the sun disk. The sun, the wing sun disk symbol, as you can see in this hieroglyphic painting. That the center is a circular red disc. In coloration is reddish circle, indicating the sun, and then it has wings, which are, in my assumption, are typically vulture wings, or meant to be vulture wings. So, but they could be any other type of bird, but Egypt is in the desert, so vultures likely to be the case. Plus, they have vultures have big wingspans and big feathers, which would be great for creating a kite, which is where I'm going with this video. My interpretation is that this is a form of kite, using vulture feathers, for example, and then creating something a lot like this. You have a reflective surface like a mirror, which would be the sun disk, and then you got vulture feathers that you put together, sewn together on fabric or something. You create a cloth. You put feathers on it. You sew them on, glue them on. However way you attach them, however way the Egyptians did it. However way they put the feathers together to create the wingspan and essentially make a wing kite. And then just put a reflective metallic disc, like a reflective gold disc, for example, would be one thing. They could put a mirror, because they have the ability to make glass, put some type of metallic material behind it to create a mirror, a lot like how this is like a car mirror or something. I made sure I used an image that specifically shows somebody's reflection and the ground that they're standing on in the image, so that we can get the idea of the way I'm looking at this. That the reason why you will have a mirror on a kite and then fly the kite is because you're trying to see what's on the ground. You want a reflection of the ground on the mirror. But if the mirror is really high up, it'd be hard for you to look at the mirror, right? So then that's where a telescope will come in. So you would need a telescope to help you look close at the mirror, be able to see what's on the mirror. And if they can make mirrors, right? They can make glass. They can make lenses. If they make lenses, they can make tubes. Put the lenses in the tubes, and bang, there's a telescope, right? So it wouldn't be too difficult for them to do it. They would have the materials to do it, so they can do it. The tube or the telescope, right, can be made of any material. You know what I mean? You just need a cylinder and a way to attach the lenses, right? So that wouldn't be too difficult. They probably found some quartz crystals or something there, or some type of clear type of crystal, and just got a cylinder, a pipe, a bamboo stick that was hollowed out, anything, right? Right, because they made flutes back in the day, right? So something like that, and then just attach a crystal on one end, and attach a crystal on the other end. How they attached it, who knows? Maybe they created their own type of glue or something, rubber cement or something like that, right? Or they used tree sap to glue it, and then when it dries, it was it's kind of like rubber cement. Anyway, the point is, they found some way to make it, and they have a telescope. Just saying that you don't need our advanced technology to make things. You can arts and crafts, which is what I'm trying to say, that ancient Egyptians definitely were masters of arts and crafts, as it were, right? They can take materials that they find literally lying around in the desert, or import them. Which, another thing, I believe that all civilizations in ancient time were able to communicate with one another. They were able to travel through boats and other methods, even through flight. They're able to communicate with birds. Have birds fly around, carrying things. So back to the wing sun disk. So this, with And another thing you could do is, now I did say telescope, right? That's one way. Another way is you wouldn't need a telescope. Another way is you just need another mirror on the floor, right? So you would need one on the ground. That's the one you're going to look at because it's on the ground with you, and you just need to direct it, just so it can catch the reflection from the mirror that's flying in the air, the kite mirror or the wing sun disk, and then have it reflected, and then now you can just look at the mirror and see what the mirror up in the sky can see, and now you have a bird's eye view, right? Literally, you have a bird's eye view. You can see the ground from the ground, right? So reflections. So just with that alone, you can be like, oh yeah, ancient humans could have came up with that idea, could have figured that out. They had thousands and thousands of years to figure it out, so of course they should have figured it out. You know what I mean? I haven't been alive for thousands of years, and even I'm like, oh yeah, make a mirror out of any out of materials that you should be able to make, fashion. Like I said, you can probably just take like some crystals and some type of metallic material behind it and make a makeshift mirror. Might not be perfect, but it's better than nothing, and go that route. But like I said, it's like you got a mirror in the sky and a mirror on the ground, and now you have the ability to see everything around. So now you have a low-tech drone or a ancient technology drone, whatever way you want to call it. Proof that you can use feathers as kites and you can use them to fly. There's people out there that have a hobby of turning feathers into kites. So here's one kite made of feathers. There's another kite made of a lot of feathers. There's multiple kites made of a lot of feathers, and they look like they're linked together. So they definitely should be able to, be able to carry like some heavy weight, right? So the more feathers you have, the more compact they are. The more weight they can hold. Let's go here. You see some more creative kite designs. Right, you see this one looks like wings, looks like the body. All you have to do is just put like a mirror on there, a lightweight mirror. It doesn't have to be heavy, obviously a lightweight mirror, but make sure it's big so you can kind of get some really good reflection out of it. Here's another kite, another feather kite. You see there's the beach and stuff, so you can tell it's actually flying. So there's that. Then, so they had kite technology, right? So they were able to do some stuff that you think they can't do. It's like, without satellites, they could not have built pyramids. Yes, they can. They just need kites with mirrors on the kite and the mirrors on the ground. It's not outside of their capabilities. They could do that. Just the idea of kite, just the idea of using, just the idea of flying in the past, that we like to assume that we're so advanced that only we modern day humans can fly or have technology that allows us to fly, as if ancient Egyptians couldn't create flying devices. Like, as you can see this guy right here, in this image, you see he has what appears to be a big kite. That's what it is. It's a kite wing, as they call it. There's a company that creates them, and essentially it's a glider, just a giant glider or a giant kite, whichever way you want to call it. It's the same thing. Wind sail, whatever you want to call it. And he has like a skateboard, and this little I guess this is designed to be, it's called probably like a sandboard or off-road board or something, whatever. But this could be made out of wood. Like those wheels could be made out of wood. The axle and the board itself could be made out of wood. So all this could be carved and made out of wood. Ancient humans can do that. Ancient Egyptians, if they can carve stone, they can carve wood. So this could be made of wood. So this doesn't have to be advanced technology. It doesn't have to be carbon fiber material and plastic and ball bearing metal and all this rubbers, tires, and it doesn't have to be all that. It could this whole thing right here could be made of wood, just straight up wood, carved wood. So that's not impossible for ancient Egyptians to do. Same thing with using cloth. They had clothes; they weren't naked. They had cloth material, right? They had silk and stuff like that. They had materials that they can use, um, as blankets and as clothing, so they can obviously create this wing kite thing. And they had access to, like, wood, like I said, other types of materials, metal and stuff like that. Like they had access to metal, but it wouldn't be necessary to use metal, especially if you want it to be light wood. You want it to be light and strong, you will use wood, because wood is light and strong. Especially bamboo sticks, they're strong and they're light, especially if they're hollowed out. So it wouldn't be that hard to make this out of bamboo material. Granted, they would have to try to get it from like China or something like that, but again, I said if ancient Egyptians were connected to the world, like the world was connected. They were connected. People on this planet weren't strangers to other people on this planet. And as you can see, this is a desert area, and you see his shadow right here. You see he's in the air, so clearly he is literally flying, or at least gliding, so to speak. So the idea I'm pointing here is the fact that kite technology is, it's not something impossible to have in ancient Egypt, right, in ancient times. But there's also the fact that you see this is lifting up this grown-ass man. Now, granted, he might be like 110 pounds or something like that, maybe 150, roughly. It doesn't look like he's over 200. So, but even so, imagine using a kite, right, to help you lift. You don't even have to lift off the ground that much. You just need a kite, need the wind to be strong enough to be able to lift. He's even a inch off the ground. Just lift off the ground just 1 inch, like a big piece of wood, or not wood, rock. And so what I'm trying to get at is the idea that they could have used kite technology, because if this kite wing thing can pick up this, let's say he's 200 pounds, can pick up this 200-pound man this far up. You can only imagine how much wind is blowing for him to be lifted up this high. That it should be impossible to lift up a whole bunch of very heavy, 10 tons, 30 ton, blocks of granite and sandstone, I think, limestone, something like that. Whatever types of stones that ancient Egyptians like to use. And I believe that this concept of technology was also used and applied by other civilizations, because everybody's sharing knowledge. Wouldn't be that hard to share information, especially when you have the ability to travel. You can go to different places and share your knowledge, and you can literally share knowledge. You could trade, like, hey, I'll teach you this, you teach me that, I'll take it back to my people and teach them how to do what you learn how to do. So, and this is how humans used to be. Humans used to be less assholes back in the day, because survival was important, more important than trying to flex on people, trying to prove that you're better than other people because you have stuff. No, it was about, like, hey, I got this cool knowledge that I'm willing to trade for cool knowledge. So people used to do stuff like that. People used to teach one another. So you get that idea. So let's go to my next image. Where is it? Right here. So besides that, in the one depiction of the sun disk, the winged sun disk, is that there's other ones that comes from Egypt, other stuff that they had, certain carvings, and as you can see here, wings, right, tail feather, and then it has like what looks like a propeller. It's like a fan in the middle. This is how we would draw. If we were to draw a image to represent a fan, this is how we would draw it. Draw it like this and make it look like this, right? Now think about the fact that, I was talking about, like, wood and stuff like that. Would it be impossible for them to have created an airplane? Because as you can see here, this is a box propeller airplane, something like that, I think they call it. and this is wood. All this is all made of wood. The wheels is is mostly wood, right? If I'm right, it's mostly wood. But the main thing is the wings, you know, frame is wooden, and it might either the wings are completely wood or they have some type of fabric over it. There's a high probability it's probably has a fabric over it, just because it'd be lighter and whatnot. And but anyway, the point is that mostly this is wood. I was specifically looking for something that looked like wood, that was largely made of wood. Inside here, here's a wooden propeller airplane, because you see, propeller here, so that's the fan, right? A big giant gas powered fan. So here's a fan, and then wings and a tail. So this seems like a representation of what this is, right? And for all we know, the idea for this came from this exact carving. Somebody could have saw this and got the idea, like, cool to create something like this, something with wings and a tail and a fan. But instead of the fan on top, put the fan in the front, and bang, that's how we got this wooden box propeller, plane, whatever. As you can see, somebody's sitting in it, and so they're standing up. So right here, you see there's somebody in the back of this person right here with the bow and arrow. You see that the same carving as this, wings and tail feather and the fan in the middle. If you look at the back of them, you can see some of the stuff from the fan. So you can see there's clearly a fan-like thing behind him, and then there's the tail feather down here, and there's the wings, and he seems to be standing in there, or somewhat sitting in there, if however way you want to look at it, in this, and which gives you an impression that he's flying. And the full version of this image will show somebody else over here looking like they're flying without some method of flying, but that's for a different video, right? But this gives you an idea that, okay, well, this implies that this person is flying using this technology, right? That's what it seems like to symbolize. It symbolizes that this person is capable of flying, and they had a battle with somebody else in the air. Aerial fight. But here you see some other depictions of people, creatures, or whatever. Looks like they're flying on something. So it seems like that's a UFO type thing, or just a flying device. And there's a possibility that their flying devices existed in ancient times, especially if you can make a kite. Then by default, everybody had the idea of mechanical flying, the idea of creating something that's not natural that can fly. So I believe that they had flying technology in the past, in ancient times. Which is why when you see these things, it depicts, oh look, it looks like a person inside what appears to be a fan-powered plane or mechanical bird, whatever you want to call it. So then over here in this picture, you see two people, seem to be like on the ground talking. You see some stars in the sky, and then you see something else up there at the level of the stars, or at least what appears to be stars, is what appears to look like the sundial, right? The winged sun disk. But if you look real closely at the wings, the design kind of makes it look like solar panels. And if you look over here, you got a satellite dish right here, the solar panels, right? As the wings of this thing, and then it has a circular disc in the middle, right? And then over here it has a circular disc and what appears to be solar panels. So this seems like a satellite dish. Granted, it might not be an actual orbit, because the stars can just represent the sky, not space, but just represent the sky. And this could just be, just high above the ground, right? But this just implies the idea that this is flying above. This is above these people up in the sky, with the whole star thing. So this is kind of like a low orbit, as it were, satellite, right? or drone, whatever you want to call it. But it's just the idea that like that seems, you know, interesting. Like if you think of it that way, it's like, oh, that's essentially a satellite. Uh, we did create satellites, so there's no reason to think humans in the past didn't create, you know, something satellite-ish. All they would need is wind, feathers, right? Some type of mirror, and this right here could be a depiction of these people having a conversation, right? Um, maybe doing something. It looks like they're kind of like trading. This person looks like they got beads in their hand, and I guess they're trying to trade, right? And you can assume this little person over here sitting down, this chair over here, which appears like a chair, and it appears like he has something in his hand. Maybe he's the one that's flying the kite. The kite has a mirror, and then he has a mirror in his hand. He's reflecting the mirror onto that. And now he's watching them, so he's spying on them with this kite, this satellite, this low orbit satellite dish, as it were. So now he's over here with his little makeshift, you know, kite drone or whatever you want to call it, and he's spying on them. And this literally could be something that literally happened. You know what I mean? And this could be a depiction of that case that this person saw them talking and trading, and you know, and this is how they were able to get the information and then make this depiction, make this carving, right, or whatever this is, right, and be able to be like, oh yeah, I saw them trade, I saw them doing stuff, and I used my Wing Sun Disc device to spy on them, right, to see what they're up to. So basically, ancient paparazzi, right? They're out here, you know, looking at these two celebrities. I guess these two people are important, right? Whatever you want to call it. So it's just, you know, some ideas, my thoughts of it, and I just like it because it's like, because the way I do thought experiments is I'm thinking like, well, what with what I know now, you know, with my knowledge, if I went back in time, what would I do? What would these things be? What would these be representative of? Like, of my influence is what I'm trying to say. Like, if I went back in time, would I really just not do anything, or will I do some cool shit, right? Use the knowledge that I have of the future and do some cool shit, right? So, for example, I'm like, well, I'm used to drones. I know about the concept of a kite, the concept of flying, the concept of a fan, and this, that, and third, and satellite dish, and so on and so forth. Why wouldn't I take all that and put it together and create something, right? You know, especially if I need to make money back in them days, right? It's like, damn, I need some skills that I can use to make money. Why not take advantage of my future knowledge and do this? I'm not saying that this is proof of time travel or anything. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get at the idea that back then they had people smart like me, and they were able to come up with these types of ideas. So I'm just thinking, like, if I existed back then with the intellect that I have, that's what I would do. I would create kites out of feathers, put some type of a mirror on it, have a mirror in my hand, fly the kite, and then and reflect the light from the mirror on the kite to the mirror in my hand, and bang, there you go. Now I got a telescope, a periscope, if you want to call it that, periscope or satellite. This is a drone, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you know, we'll be like, oh, essentially it's a drone or a kite with a mirror. You know, however way you want to look at it. And definitely, I can make a lot of money from that back in the day, right? You know, I'll be very popular because I'm the guy who can do that. And this leads to the idea of, you know, because since I'm using, you know, light, the sun, and this is a Wing Sun Disc, right? If I was the one who went back in time, so quote unquote, right, and created this, or I just lived at that time and created this, then I wouldn't be surprised if people consider me a god, right? A sun god, right? Maybe my name was Ra, so then I'm the son of, I'm Ra, the sun god, right? You don't know. Maybe that's how we got the legend of Ra, the sun god, right? Is some dude figuring out how to, how to fly a mirror, basically, how to take feathers and make a kite out of it, and then put a mirror on it, because he learned how to make mirrors, or maybe he found somebody who knows how to make mirrors, and then he just knew how to make kites out of feathers and combined the two things, aka an inventor, and bang, he made a kite. We gotta assume that people invented shit back in the day. People had nothing better to do than to do that, right? So of course they could have done that. They could have created a kite out of feathers, put a mirror on it, had a mirror in their hand, and fly it and be like, oh, now I can see things. I can see stuff from the sky. You know. Another thing is, um, since you can put almost anything on the kite, you can put, um, you can put parcels, like, what I'm saying, like bags, like sacks, right? Cloth, put stuff in the cloth, tie up the cloth, right, to hold this stuff, put it on a kite, and then fly the kite really, really far away. So you can fly the kite from the top of a building, right, and fly over some buildings, right, or whatever, something, or you don't have to be in a building. Just the idea is like you can fly the kite, let the wind take the kite, let the kite take let the wind take the kite, towards the direction you want it to go to, and have it, deliver something. So then you can do it like a little delivery service thing, like an Amazon delivery. So that's the kind of stuff that I would do. So this is like my idea of like what the winged sun disk probably was. If it was probably a piece of technology, and then they just, since they're so used to it, they decided to use it as a symbol, as a word, because it probably had a name. They probably named it something, and they use it as a word. So they use it, in hieroglyphs as a word. But it's the idea that I was thinking like this has to have existed for it to be used for the hieroglyphs, to be used to represent sound and for a language for them to do these hieroglyphs, because that was the idea that what you see on the hieroglyphs are essentially words, but they're using things that it's supposed to have existed, and they represent sounds, different types of sounds, and then you create words using all these different things. So it's like, okay, what did I believe that these things existed? Is what I'm saying. That these things existed, especially when you see in this video, you see there's different versions. See different versions of. Sorry. So the other idea is, instead of putting like a mirror, you could put a lens, like a magnifying glass type of lens, on there to make sure it's transparent, right? That way you can have the sun shine through the lens and shine down to a specific spot, and bang, there you go, you got a laser. So this could be a way where they fly the kite, right, with the lens to make sure they keep it moving, position it where they need it, where the sunlight will shine through, and then have it specifically hit a specific spot, and they could like literally burn whatever they want to burn, right? They definitely can use it to melt rocks, so that's a thing, and a lot of other things. But the main thing I would think is like they'll probably try to use it as a weapon. So have it fly around, have the sun go through it, have the light shining on a specific target, and then burn it, like a human being, for example, or an animal, like let's say the enemy's. I'm thinking like it could be used for military purpose, right? So it could be used as a weapon, so it could be used as like a killer drone or something, like not a space laser, but sorry, a sky laser, using the power of sun to burn stuff. They could burn people's crops, right? Or just burn. Sorry. Damn. I'm eating right now. Burn a somebody's farm, right? Somebody's vegetation, which would be messed up thing to do, but it's a possibility of something they can do. So just, obviously you can come up with nefarious things you can do with a flying magnifying glass, right? Flying laser, as it were, using the power of the sun. And this just leads to, my ideas of like ancient, not just Egyptians, but ancient humans in general would use, power of the sun, wind, water, the basic elements, because our advanced technology runs on that concept as well. We lean more towards subatomic uh, forces like electricity, magnetism, stuff like that, to to create what we create. And with aerodynamics, we obviously use airplanes, right? We use air obviously for aerodynamics for airplanes. But they probably didn't use electricity, but I believe they did have access to it in a certain capacity. It's just that they lean more towards the power of the sun because it's renewable, the power of the wind, right? So they were more leaning towards renewable power, renewable resources than we are, right? We lean towards burning things like coal, right? Fossil fuels and stuff like that. We lean, and electricity, we lean towards more of that stuff, and that stuff is obviously more hazardous to the planet. They were more the opposite. They were more clean energy. We're using renewable energy sources, right? They use wind and water and sun and whatnot to do things. So that's what I believe. That's why it's like not surprised that they'll be big fans of the sun, the whole sun god thing, Ra and stuff like that, and even make winged sun discs because the sun is useful, especially in the desert. It's always there, right? So why not use that power source in the sky, right? That big nuclear power plant in the sky and do some cool stuff like make kites stick with mirrors and magnifying glasses. Another thing they could do with this is, again, with the lens idea, use this at nighttime, obviously not during the daytime, but at nighttime with the lens, then you have a telescope, and the idea is that you'll use the telescope to look at the lens from the kite, and that will further increase your, that's my theory anyway, should further increase your ability to see farther into the sky, right? Further into space, and this is probably how they figured out certain stuff like the planets are planets and other star related stuff, because a lot of times you might find some carvings or some paintings that depict the idea of like space and things of that nature, and you're like, damn, how did they know about this? They didn't have satellites and rocket ships going to space and all this other stuff. They don't have what we have to know about the universe. So how do they know? They did have what we have. It was in a different form. It was using different materials. Might say it was made of trash or a primitive material, but they still made it. We're assuming because they don't have, the materials we have, that they couldn't have done anything that we can do. And another thing I noticed that some of these, archaeologists and scientists be saying in a lot of these videos I watch on YouTube, the idea of like, oh, we can't reproduce a lot of the stuff they did in the past, so it's strange. If we can't do it, they definitely couldn't do it. Therefore, aliens were involved. I'm like, oh man, you're retarded. I'm not against the idea of aliens being involved. What I'm saying is that we can do what they do. I don't know why we keep repeating this idea that with our modern day technology, we can't reproduce the stuff that the ancient Egyptians or ancient humans created. It's like, well, that's bullshit. We can. Not only can we create it, we can do better. Way better. Because we have better shit. So we can do it. We just don't want to. That's the difference. We don't want to. But we can do better. And we have done better. You don't think a skyscraper is our version of the Great Pyramid? Like, we're so hung up on the Great Pyramid, like, oh my god, look how amazing it is. It's like, yeah, whole bunch of stones stacked on top of each other like Legos. Nice for back in them days, but in modern day times, not that impressive compared to what we create. We create skyscrapers. We create things that are way taller than the Pyramid of Giza, the Great Pyramid of Giza, yet we still want to give them more credit than we give ourselves. Like, oh, we can't do what they do. We don't need to. We can do better. There's that. So I do hate downplaying us as we can't do shit, but I also hate downplaying the past. The main thing is I just don't like the idea of downplaying humans in general, to the point where it's like, oh, but we can't do it. The ancients can't do it, so aliens. Like, no, screw you. It starts to seem like there's a pattern that if you're an alien, you're better than a human. No, F you. Humans are awesome. Fuck out of here. I'm team human. Who will win in a fight? Superman, Batman. Batman because he's human. That's why. Fuck out of here. Superman, an alien, therefore he wins. He has superpowers, he wins. Fuck out of here. Humans are awesome. I'm team human all the way. So the point is, humans are awesome in the past. Humans are awesome now. Debatable. Obviously, we have a lot of is in this planet right now, but that's no here or there. We still have smart people like myself on this planet, so we still have hope for the future, right? The point is, people in the past are smart. People in current time are smart, so we can do some amazing stuff because we're fucking human. And that'll be the end of this video.